the broad brushstrokes of what this partnership's about?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you everyone for coming. Big day in the history of football in this country. Fundamentally what this is about is alignment between New Zealand football and the Wellington Phoenix on talent development. What it means is really exciting for the country. The Phoenix have done a fantastic job to date with developing players both into the top tier leagues in the world, but also into our All Whites and Football Ferns. But what this partnership allows for is even greater alignment. There's investment going to the Phoenix for scholarship positions. There'll be close working relationship on talent ID for our under 17s, well, under 16s, under 17s, right through to under 19s. It's going to ensure that the Phoenix Academy is accessible to the best talent in this country, and it also is going to ensure that we have a stronger and tighter working relationship between the Academy and all of our clubs who are doing great work in player development as well. So, huge day for football in this country. Phoenix have done an outstanding job. We're excited about the women's team, excited about the growth of the A-League, and this takes us another step forward.
So, Tommy, what are the nuts and bolts then? Is it just basically opening up more scholarship positions in the academy, or is it bigger than that?
It's bigger than that. It extends their tentacles into different parts of the country which have been a little bit precluded from us in the past. It's working closely with New Zealand Football's technical team as well, so being very aligned in that space, identifying the very best in young talent and facilitating them to come to Wellington. Like Andrew says, it enables us now to put them to the best possible development pathway, not only come to ALeague but to go to other clubs after us as well. So it's a big enabler. We've talked about it before. It's not all we're resource constrained. The Wellington Phoenix and the Academy's done an amazing job in what it's managed to develop in the youth space in the last 5 or 6 years, and this will just be the next stage in the evolution.
So is it New Zealand football investment into Wellington Phoenix? Is that what we're talking about here?
You might know.
Yeah, correct. Yep, absolutely. Obviously, we're supported by the FIFA Talent Development Scheme, a part of a global initiative that FIFA are implementing. Kia's done a whole lot of work in terms of developing a high performance and talent plan, and an obvious part of that is getting alignment through our professional teams and our professional academies. So investment in, ensuring there's scholarship positions, ensuring there's communities of practice that operate between the academy and clubs, and ensuring that there's lines into players who are not working necessarily in the academy but might be in a geographically different position, but there are plans in place for them and they're supported as well.
Oh, sorry, and I think that's a very important aspect of this plan is it's not all the kids will end up here, all the players will end up here immediately in Wellington. So it enables us to go to younger age groups and to keep an eye on those players and get them into development pathways and remain in their home federations. Because we know the Feds do an excellent job in terms of starting that development pathway, and this will enable us to support the Feds in identifying and developing those players.
I'll just ask one more bit to go. Yeah. So I guess some might say, okay, do you have to be at Wellington Phoenix then to play for the under 17s, to play for the under 20s? Will that, whether that is perception or reality, that will be what some people say? What would your response be to that?
Yeah, we've worked on this plan quite carefully to ensure that isn't the case, and I think that's a really important point you raised, Piney. Players' development all take different pathways. In many instances, it'll be best that they remain in their local location. Hence, there's this practice that enables the Phoenix to work remotely, the Academy to work remotely with players who are going to stay in whatever part of the country they stay in. So I think that's a really important. It's always going to be bespoke to the player, and so the plan encapsulates that. And obviously, we'll be working on a equivalent partnership at some stage with Auckland FC.
Andrew, how did you get to this point today? Because I'm sure player development has been something that you've been working on for a long time. Was it, the money, of course, but was it the Phoenix sort of had to, or this facility here had to show that it was up to what you wanted, and that's you approached them? I'm just sort of wondering how it all came together.
Yeah, look, I think some credit certainly to the FIFA Talent Development Scheme. Obviously, resource is a key part of that, so I definitely want to acknowledge them. We've known the Phoenix are doing great work, but certainly being able to resource them further, as David touched on, it's often at great cost and expense to the owners. So, accessibility to academies is key to us. We don't want cost to be a barrier to the top talent in this country to be able to access academies. So first and foremost is making sure we have a high performance and talent plan that Kia's worked on with FIFA and the whole country for alignment. It might be stating the obvious, but clearly our professional clubs and professional academies should form a critical part of that. But arguably, historically in this country, that hasn't always been the case. It's been a little bit more haphazard. So it's great. This day is really, for me, this is really momentous because we're actually driving alignment. The growth of the A-Leagues is into this country is really significant. So credit to these guys for actually doing the work already. But now we've got alignment with our age group sides. I think it's even more exciting. And that accessibility piece is key, and I think it's fundamental to Kiwis, because if you think about it, that lies at the heart of who we are in terms of being egalitarian. It's not the case around the world that talent always gets the best chance, so I think that today helps that.
Question for both of you. What would success of this look like for you guys?
You go first.
I think it's good for the technical guys to maybe talk to that, because they'll be actually monitoring and managing the kids as they come through.
Yeah, look, I think success is going to look like good collaboration, and to the point here, right, it's not going to be kids coming to Wellington at 15, 16 all the time, but it's going to be about us being able to monitor those kids, help work with those kids, have the deeper pool of players that are outside Wellington that are ready to come into Wellington at a certain point when that's right for them, that can come in. And it's probably seeing them being ready to go straight into reserve team programs, for example, or straight into A-League programs even, right? I think that's going to be the success of this program, is being able to work with the whole of the game to get the best out of it.
From a national team perspective as well?
Yeah, I think success for us looks like two really strong A-League programs of both men's and women's, so that both these guys in Auckland FC are populated with New Zealand talent that is pushing for titles and really performing well, and the byproduct of that is transfer of players to offshore markets and into bigger clubs and bigger leagues. And if that happens, then our national teams benefit, because we've got a depth of players to choose from, and that gives our national coaches good talent to work with.
Yeah, I think those 17s and 20s World Cups, both women and men, seeing us being more successful, getting out of groups more regularly, right, going deeper into those tournaments. And I think through that too, if we can generate the player sales to come back into the Wellington Phoenix, but then the rest of the game through the solidarity mechanism, etc., that's going to be the success of this program, is hopefully us being a sustainable football nation that can be competitive on the world stage and at A-League level as well.
Andrew, where do Auckland FC fit in all this, in this FIFA money?
Yeah, it's early days in terms of conversations with them. Obviously, we'll be looking to enter into some deeper discussions around what that might look like. They're obviously going 90 miles an hour in terms of hitting the ground running, trying to just put a first team up. So it's early days in terms of what their academy or reserves teams might look like. Kia's had some preliminary discussions. We certainly see in time there being a partnership. It might look slightly different, but it would depend on how that shapes up, and we believe it should be context specific, so it needs to meet the needs of the whole ecosystem and what the work of player development that clubs are doing in that area as well.
And can you share how much money is being invested into this, or what portion of the FIFA money is going to be put into this?
Yeah, the total figure is commercial in confidence, but it's a significant six-figure sum, and it's material. This agreement is currently for 2 years, but I'd like to think that this will be a lasting agreement. These partnerships are key if we are, as these guys have articulated, to become stronger as professional clubs and as a whole country. Charging up those rankings, we need this alignment. So I see this as a much longer term partnership and a long overdue one.
Kia, how do you do your talent ID for a program like this?
The main thing for us is collaboration. If we've got our people and the Phoenix people on the ground, talking with clubs, communicating together, that's the best way that we're going to make sure we're seeing the best players. So the main thing is collaboration and strong communication between our technical staff and our age group staff and the Phoenix technical staff.
How do you make sure that the next Sartreach Singh or the next Libby Kakachi isn't playing somewhere in Westport? I mean, Westport's a lovely place, don't get me wrong, but how do you make sure that the really talented kids outside the main centres don't slip through the cracks?
Yeah, and I think it's just, as I said, using both parties' networks is the best way to do that, and have as many eyes on the kids both formally and informally as possible. And by like our guys working closely with the Phoenix guys, we're much more likely to be able to do that. So that's the key, I think, really.
I think the Fed's become very important in all this. We have excellent working relationships. Our guys in the academy have excellent working relationships with the federations. They do amazing jobs with the resources they do have. And also identifying those kids, like who's looking in the lower levels, and like you say, Gore or Queenstown or whatever. There'll be there's good kids out there, definitely.
It's probably alignment of the pathway too, right, in terms of knowing how this pathway works. You know, we've got a community grassroots, we've got a TDP program, we've got ALeague academies, we've got ALeague, we've got 17s, 20s, and it's about people understanding how that pathway works. You know, for the Phoenix, we are not the top of the tree. We know that. You know, we know that Sabri Singh and Libby Kakacha, they want to come in, they want to go out to the rest of the world. I think it's also the rest of the game understanding that they're part of a pyramid, right? And rather than holding a player, it's passing them on to the next level. And that's going to be a critical part of the success of this as well.
Just adding to that, because the Phoenix, of course, you're encouraging people to play in other leagues coming through your system. So you've constantly had to look at your development players and reserve players and the like. So how much more reach, or how many more talented players out there? How significant is this to boosting, you know, getting those young people involved now that may have been missed, perhaps?
It's absolutely critical. If we can have the best with the best, you know, which probably does mean potentially sometimes we might have a high number of under 17s, you know, in that particular group. That's obviously, you know, just part and parcel of it, right? So if we can have best with best, then, you know, this type of funding allows us to do other things that will help that, you know, like a residential boarding program that we're going to kick off next year, you know, that will help kids come to Wellington. You know, we're not saying they have to be here at 15, you know, it's when it's appropriate, when it's right, but this will help with those type of things that will get best with best, and once we've got best with best, hopefully we have better quality of players coming out of the program into 17s, into 20s, into all whites, and into the A-League.
Yeah, I mean, Gilly touched on it then. We're starting up a boarding program next year. We're going to have 36 kids here at NZCIS living on site, half boys, half girls, 18 in each. With the idea is that they're living and breathing and playing football and quality education. You know, so this is the next stage of our evolution, is to really take it to the next level in terms of what we can develop in a young person, because we know we can do it technically on the academy. The academy's been very, very successful in developing these players and continues to do so. I mean, you look at the weekend when kids play, and you can see there's some quality kids coming through that program. But then how do we expand it? So we want to remove those barriers, and we think that the boarding solution is a good one for us.
But also making the coaching staff right. We've got some incredible people that work in the academy, incredible people that are working in 17s and 20s.
Yeah.
And it's making those guys accessible and girls accessible to the rest of the game as well, to help bring it up. You know, this is now about taking our S&C people, our physiotherapy people, our mental skills, etc., and trying to overlay that with the rest of the game. You know, think about ACL injuries in women's football. You know, how are we going to fix that? How are we going to impart the knowledge we have as far down as 12, 13, 14 and help that? You know, that's the exciting part of this. You know, really changing the game in New Zealand.